Welcome to today's video, where we will explore the wonders of how our brains process emotions, particularly fear. In the book The Emotional Brain by neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux, the author presents profound research on how emotions are formed and impact our lives. From detailed analyses of how the brain stores and processes fear to practical applications in treating emotional disorders, this book will help you gain a deeper understanding of the connection between the brain and emotions, opening up new perspectives on human psychology. Let's begin our journey of discovery right now. What are emotions? Joseph LeDoux addresses the fundamental question of the nature of emotions. He defines emotions not only based on human subjective experience, but also from a neuroscientific perspective, focusing on the role of the brain in forming and controlling emotional responses. LeDoux explains that emotions are complex biological reactions triggered by specific situations in the environment. He emphasizes that, although humans often perceive emotions as a psychological state, emotions are fundamentally the result of biological processes occurring in the brain. Emotions such as fear, joy, or sadness arise from the interaction of different parts of the brain. The author also distinguishes between emotions and related states such as sensations, actions, and consciousness. Emotions are not merely feelings, but are also related to how the body and brain respond to stimuli from the surrounding environment. Furthermore, LeDoux argues that emotions play a crucial role in helping humans adapt to the world around them, creating rapid, automatic responses to threats or opportunities. LeDoux asserts that emotions are not just simple reflections of subjective experience, but they have deep roots in the structure and function of the brain. Emotions are formed through the activity of specific parts of the brain, such as the limbic system and especially the amygdala, which plays a vital role in processing fear and strong emotional reactions. An interesting point LeDoux makes is the distinction between emotion and consciousness of emotion. According to him, we can experience emotions without necessarily having full awareness of them. This means that emotions can occur automatically, even before we are consciously aware of them, as they are processed unconsciously in specific areas of the brain. LeDoux emphasizes that emotions have a core role in helping humans and animals adapt to their environment. Emotional responses such as fear help us react quickly to dangers, while joy may encourage the pursuit of vital resources like food or survival. Emotions, therefore, are not merely psychological experiences, but essential evolutionary tools that aid in the survival and development of organisms. There are various perspectives on emotions, including biological, psychological, and philosophical views. LeDoux aligns himself with the biological perspective, arguing that emotions are primarily the result of brain activity and biological responses. He critiques traditional psychological or philosophical approaches, claiming they do not adequately explain the origins and functions of emotions. Exploring fear. Joseph LeDoux presents scientific and experimental research on how humans and animals respond to environmental threats and how these responses are regulated by specific neural mechanisms. LeDoux explains that fear is one of the most basic emotions and plays a crucial role in survival. When faced with dangerous situations, the brain responds immediately, activating the fight or flight system to protect the body. The author emphasizes that, although fear is a powerful emotion, it is not simply a psychological response, but a biological process controlled by important brain regions, especially the amygdala. LeDoux also provides examples of experiments on animals, particularly rats, to illustrate how fear is created and stored. These experiments show that the amygdala is the control center for fear responses and helps the body react quickly to dangerous situations. The amygdala, the center of fear. LeDoux emphasizes the critical role of the amygdala in processing fear. When a threat is detected, the amygdala sends signals to other parts of the brain and body to activate survival responses. This includes increased heart rate, dilated pupils, and muscle tension. Responses we often associate with fear. LeDoux highlights that the amygdala processes fear not only when we are conscious of it, but also reacts automatically, even when we are unaware of the danger. This explains why we sometimes feel anxious or fearful without fully understanding the cause. The brain has activated a response before our consciousness recognizes it. LeDoux identifies two pathways through which fear is processed in the brain. Fast pathway. Sensory signals go directly to the amygdala, allowing an immediate response without the intervention of the cortex, the part of the brain that processes consciousness and thought. This enables the body to react quickly to threats. Slow pathway. Sensory signals are sent to the cortex, where they are analyzed more thoroughly before a response is activated. This pathway helps individuals better understand the threat and generate a more accurate reaction. Fear is not always rational. LeDoux points out that fear can be activated without relying on clear reasoning or consciousness. This means that fear often does not depend on logic or conscious information, but is the result of automatic processes in the brain. These responses have evolved over millions of years to help organisms protect themselves from immediate threats. LeDoux uses experiments on rats to illustrate how the brain stores memories of fear. He discovered that when rats hear a specific sound associated with an electric shock, they develop a fear of that sound, even when the shock is no longer present. This experiment demonstrates that the brain can link harmless factors to fear based on past experiences, leading to fear responses in the future without a clear reason. LeDoux argues that fear is an evolved emotion developed to help organisms cope with potential dangers. When the brain recognizes a threat, it responds quickly to enhance survival chances. This explains why reactions to fear are often very strong and automatic, as delays can lead to serious consequences in the natural environment. The pathways to fear. LeDoux continues to focus on exploring the two main pathways through which sensory information travels in the brain to create fear. He delves deeper into the mechanisms of fear by detailing how signals from the outside world are processed and transformed into emotional responses in the brain. LeDoux explains that when we encounter a threat, signals from our senses, such as vision and hearing, travel through two different pathways in the brain. The short pathway, subcortical pathway. This is the fastest and most direct pathway, leading from the senses to the amygdala, the center that controls emotions in the brain. This pathway helps activate an immediate response to threats without the need for deep thinking or analysis. LeDoux refers to this short pathway as a reflex because it produces a quick fear response, allowing the body time to prepare before the actual danger is identified. For example, if a person sees an image resembling a snake in a split second, the short pathway will immediately activate the amygdala and trigger a fear response even before the brain recognizes that it is just a harmless twig. This short pathway plays a crucial role in survival, as it allows the body to respond instantly to potential threats without waiting for the brain to conduct further analysis. However, this pathway is also prone to generating erroneous responses due to information that has not been fully processed. The long pathway, corticothalamic pathway. Signals are sent to the cortex before being processed more thoroughly, allowing the brain to analyze and evaluate the threat in detail. The new information is then sent to the amygdala to trigger an appropriate response. The long pathway enables the brain to process information more thoroughly through the cortex. This is where situational data is analyzed and assessed, allowing the brain to determine whether the threat actually exists. After the information is processed, the fear response is sent back to the amygdala to adjust the body's behavior accordingly. The long pathway allows humans to evaluate threats more accurately, avoiding excessive reactions. For example, after closely inspecting and realizing that the image resembling a snake is just a twig, a person can quell their initial fear response and calm down. These two pathways operate simultaneously and coordinate with each other to ensure that the response is appropriate for each specific situation. In clearly dangerous situations, the short pathway can help initiate a rapid response to protect the body. Meanwhile, the long pathway ensures that we have the ability to assess risks more accurately and adjust our responses accordingly. A typical example of how these two pathways coordinate is when a person sees the silhouette of a dangerous animal in the forest. The short pathway will trigger an immediate fear response, but the long pathway will continue processing the image to confirm whether it is a real animal or just the shadow of a rock. This helps balance quick reactions with the ability to evaluate the situation thoroughly. At the same time, LeDoux continues to emphasize the role of the amygdala in receiving and processing information from both pathways. The amygdala is not only the center of fear responses, but also the place where emotions are linked to past memories and experiences. This explains why situations that caused fear in the past can trigger similar reactions in the future, even when the threat has disappeared. The distant origins of fear. The book outlines how fear has formed and developed through the evolutionary process of humanity. Joseph LeDoux emphasizes that fear is not just a simple emotional response, but has complex origins related to the existence and survival of humankind. He analyzes the biological and psychological mechanisms behind fear, as well as its role in protecting us from threats in our environment. LeDoux begins this section by pointing out that fear is a natural response originating from the potential dangers in the living environment of our ancestors. These emotions were formed to help humans recognize and react to dangerous situations, thereby protecting themselves and ensuring survival. LeDoux explains that fear is an evolutionary mechanism that has existed for millions of years. Our ancestors faced numerous threats from nature, such as predators and other environmental factors. Individuals who could sense and respond quickly to these dangers were more likely to survive and reproduce. Thus, fear has become an essential part of the human genome. In this section, LeDoux delves into the mechanisms of the brain related to fear. He describes the amygdala as the main area in the brain responsible for detecting and responding to threats. When an individual encounters a dangerous situation, the amygdala becomes highly active to trigger the fight or flight response. This allows us to respond quickly without needing to think too much, which is crucial in life-threatening situations. Additionally, LeDoux mentions the role of the cortex in processing and perceiving fear. The cortex helps us better understand the causes of fear and can intervene in the amygdala's response, helping to adjust our emotions and behaviors. The interaction between the amygdala and the cortex creates a complex system that allows us to process fear effectively. LeDoux also analyzes the concept of conditioned fear, which means that fear can be learned through experience. He explains that fear can develop from negative experiences, such as being attacked or encountering frightening situations. When an individual associates an event with feelings of fear, this can lead to the development of fear towards similar situations in the future. Conditioned fear can also be applied in the context of therapy. LeDoux emphasizes that understanding the origins and mechanisms of fear can help us control and alleviate it through treatment methods such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Finally, LeDoux addresses how fear is not only a personal issue but also influenced by social and cultural factors. Cultural norms, traditions, and history can shape and modify how we experience and react to fear. Fear can be shared within a community, and social factors can amplify or diminish feelings of fear. Conscious emotions. Joseph LeDoux explores the connection between emotions, cognitions, and conscious experiences, analyzing how we recognize and interpret our emotions. LeDoux begins this section by emphasizing that not all emotions are conscious. Emotions can occur without full awareness, which often happens in reflexive or subconscious situations. However, when emotions become part of conscious experience, we gain the ability to understand and consciously regulate them. LeDoux explains that unconscious emotions can occur without us being clearly aware of them. These emotional responses are often automatic and can be triggered by external factors or situations. In contrast, conscious emotions require awareness and understanding of the feelings we are experiencing. He points out that the ability to recognize and identify our emotions is a crucial part of emotional management. When emotions become conscious, we can reflect on and respond more positively, rather than merely reacting instinctively. An important point that LeDoux makes is the role of language in forming conscious emotions. Language not only helps us articulate emotions, but also influences how we perceive and understand our feelings. Using precise words can help us express emotions more clearly, thereby enhancing our ability to recognize and manage them. LeDoux emphasizes that when we assign specific words to our emotions, it not only helps us understand those feelings better, but also creates a greater capacity for emotional control. By being able to express our emotions, we can communicate and interact more effectively with others. He argues that when emotions are recognized, they can influence our decisions and actions. Awareness of emotions allows us to make more considered decisions, improving our quality of life. He analyzes how conscious emotions can help us assess situations and make more rational choices. When emotions are recognized, we can identify how those emotions affect our actions and decide whether to maintain, adjust, or change our responses. LeDoux also addresses the impact of conscious emotions on mental health and overall well-being. He points out that recognizing and understanding our emotions can lead to positive psychological development, reduced stress, and improved quality of life. By developing the ability to recognize emotions, we can enhance our stress management skills, build positive relationships with others, and improve our mental health. LeDoux encourages practicing awareness and acceptance of emotions as an essential part of personal growth. How the brain processes emotions. Joseph LeDoux emphasizes that emotions are not merely natural responses, but also the result of various cognitive and neurological processes in the brain. LeDoux begins by presenting the structure and function of different brain areas related to emotions, particularly the amygdala and the cortex. He explains that these brain regions work together to identify, process, and respond to different emotions. LeDoux describes the amygdala as the most important part of emotional processing, especially concerning fear. When the brain detects a threat, the amygdala immediately activates an emotional response, leading to feelings of fear. This allows individuals to respond quickly without needing to think too much, which is crucial in life-threatening situations. Additionally, LeDoux discusses the role of the cortex in emotional processing. The cortex not only helps recognize emotions, but also performs higher functions such as thinking, analyzing, and decision-making. When emotions are recognized, the cortex can adjust and regulate the amygdala's response, enabling us to react more thoughtfully. LeDoux explains that the emotional processing begins with recognizing a threat or a triggering event. When the senses receive information from the environment, signals are sent to the amygdala to determine which emotion to respond to. If the information is deemed dangerous, the amygdala will immediately activate the emotional response. Subsequently, the information continues to be sent to the cortex, where the emotions are recognized and interpreted. This process allows us to gain a better understanding of our emotions and gives us the ability to control our responses. LeDoux emphasizes that while the amygdala can generate quick reactions, the cortex allows us time to think and adjust our behavior. Another important aspect that LeDoux mentions is the connection between emotions and memory. He explains that intense emotional experiences often create deeper and clearer memories. When we experience a strong emotion, the brain retains related information so that we can recall it in the future. This process may explain why fearful or joyful events are often remembered longer than ordinary ones. The amygdala plays a role in forming emotional memories, helping us learn from past experiences and adjust our behavior in the future. LeDoux also explores how culture and the environment influence how the brain processes emotions. He emphasizes that emotions are not just physiological responses, but are also shaped by social and cultural factors. Cultural norms and traditions can shape how we experience and express our emotions. Emotional disorders and treatment methods. Joseph LeDoux analyzes the relationship between emotions, behavior, and mental health, while exploring intervention methods to help individuals with emotional disorders improve their conditions. LeDoux begins this section by explaining that emotional disorders, such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, can arise from imbalances in the brain's emotional processing. He emphasizes that understanding the biological and psychological causes of these disorders is crucial in seeking effective treatment methods. LeDoux describes several common emotional disorders that many people face. He explains that emotional disorders often involve intense emotional responses that are uncontrollable, leading to negative impacts on daily life. Depression. LeDoux describes depression as an emotional disorder that can cause feelings of sadness, loss of interest, and lack of energy. Depression is often associated with changes in the activity of brain areas related to emotions, such as the amygdala and the cortex. Anxiety. Anxiety disorders often emerge when individuals feel excessive worry or anxiety without a clear reason. LeDoux points out that anxiety disorders can be triggered by heightened sensitivity in the amygdala and the emotional processing in the brain. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. LeDoux explains that PTSD can occur after traumatic experiences, leading to the reliving of painful memories and intense feelings of fear. This disorder often arises from powerful emotional experiences that the brain cannot fully process. He analyzes the biological, psychological, and environmental causes that lead to emotional disorders. LeDoux emphasizes that genetics, brain chemistry, and life experiences can play crucial roles in the formation of emotional disorders. Genetics. Research shows that some emotional disorders can be hereditary, meaning individuals with relatives who have these disorders have a higher risk of developing them. Brain chemistry. LeDoux explains that imbalances in neurotransmitters, such as serotonin and dopamine, can contribute to the development of emotional disorders. Life experiences. Negative past experiences, such as psychological trauma or prolonged stress, can affect mental health and lead to the development of emotional disorders. Treatment methods. LeDoux continues to discuss existing treatment methods for emotional disorders, ranging from psychological therapies to medications. Psychological therapy. He emphasizes that psychological therapies, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can help patients recognize and change negative thought patterns, thereby improving their emotions and behaviors. This therapy encourages patients to gain a better understanding of their emotions and develop skills to manage them more effectively. Medication. LeDoux also mentions the use of medication in treating emotional disorders. Some medications, such as antidepressants and anxiolytics, can help correct chemical imbalances in the brain, thus alleviating symptoms of emotional disorders. Combined approaches. He advocates for a combination of psychological therapy and medication to achieve the best treatment outcomes. This combination can help patients not only reduce symptoms, but also improve their ability to manage emotions in daily life. How memories of fear are stored and forgotten. Joseph LeDoux explains that memories of fear are not merely past experiences, but are also related to complex biological and psychological mechanisms in how the brain processes information. LeDoux begins this section by describing the process of fear memory formation. When a frightening event occurs, the amygdala in the brain plays a crucial role in identifying and responding to the threat. Information from this event is stored in memory, often intertwined with strong emotions. The process of memory formation. LeDoux explains that when a person experiences a frightening event, the brain records not only the event, but also the emotions associated with it, and flows. The amygdala actively works to store this memory, helping the individual recognize future threats. Memories of fear are often reinforced through repeated experiences or through reminder cues, such as sounds or images related to the event. How fear memories are stored. LeDoux states that fear memories are stored in various areas of the brain, including the amygdala, cortex, and hippocampus. The amygdala retains the emotions and responses associated with the memory, while the hippocampus helps organize spatial and temporal information related to the event. This process creates a complex network in which fear memories can be activated and retrieved. Forgetting fear memories. An important part of this chapter is the study of the forgetting process. LeDoux explains that not all fear memories are maintained forever. Some memories will fade over time. Forgetting can occur due to various factors, including the lack of repetition of the experience, changes in circumstances, or the interference of other memories. Mechanisms of forgetting. LeDoux clarifies that forgetting is a natural part of the memory storage process. When the brain recognizes that a fear memory is no longer relevant or necessary, it can reduce the intensity of that memory, making it easier for individuals to cope with their emotions. Forgetting can also protect individuals from psychological harm due to continually re-experiencing traumatic memories. The role of reminders. An important factor in maintaining fear memories is the presence of reminders. When a person encounters reminder cues related to the fear, the amygdala may be activated, and the memory will vividly resurface. LeDoux emphasizes that how the brain processes these reminder cues can significantly influence how we experience fear. Treating fear memories. LeDoux also discusses treatment methods that can help process and alleviate fear memories. Therapies such as desensitization and behavioral therapy can help individuals safely and gradually confront their fear memories. Through these techniques, individuals can learn to manage their emotional responses and minimize the impact of fear memories on their daily lives. From fear to anxiety. Joseph LeDoux explains that while fear and anxiety have many similarities, they also possess significant differences in how they manifest and affect human behavior. LeDoux begins this section by defining fear and anxiety. He asserts that fear is often an immediate response to a specific threat, while anxiety is typically associated with prolonged worry about future uncertainties or situations that have not yet occurred. The differences between fear and anxiety. LeDoux points out that fear and anxiety originate from different areas in the brain and are triggered by different factors. Fear is an immediate emotional response to a specific threat, often stimulated by external factors such as the appearance of a wild animal or a dangerous situation. The amygdala in the brain plays a crucial role in recognizing and responding to fear. When a person experiences fear, their body may exhibit physiological responses, such as increased heart rate and blood pressure, preparing them for action. Anxiety. In contrast, anxiety often arises when there is an unclear threat or an uncertain situation. Anxiety can persist for a longer duration and does not necessarily require a specific triggering factor. LeDoux emphasizes that anxiety can lead to a prolonged state of tension, affecting the mood and behavior of the individual experiencing it. Biological mechanisms. LeDoux analyzes the biological mechanisms associated with fear and anxiety, highlighting that both states are related to the activity of the amygdala, but also activate different areas in the brain. Fear. When fear is activated, the amygdala generates a rapid response, helping the body take necessary actions to confront the threat. Anxiety. In cases of anxiety, the brain may activate other regions, including the cortex and hippocampus, to process information and predict potential outcomes. This process can lead to feelings of anxiety, making it difficult for individuals to escape their feelings of tension. The impact of anxiety. LeDoux explains that anxiety can have negative effects on both mental and physical health. It may lead to emotional disorders such as excessive anxiety, depression, and other health issues like insomnia and difficulty concentrating. Treating fear and anxiety. This section also discusses treatment methods for fear and anxiety. LeDoux emphasizes that recognizing and understanding triggering factors is crucial for managing emotions. Behavioral therapy. Approaches such as behavioral therapy can help individuals confront their fears and anxieties. These therapies encourage individuals to safely experience and explore their emotions. Relaxation techniques. LeDoux also recommends relaxation techniques such as meditation, yoga, and breathing exercises to help alleviate anxiety and stress. Overcoming fear. The biology of emotion. MUSI. Joseph LeDoux delves into the biological and neurological factors related to emotion, helping readers gain a deeper understanding of how the brain and body interact to form emotions. LeDoux begins by emphasizing that emotions are not merely psychological experiences, but are also tied to complex biological processes. He asserts that emotions can be understood through three main aspects: development, neurobiology, and their management in social situations. The development of emotion. LeDoux explores how emotions form and develop over time. He explains that emotions are not just isolated reactions, but the result of a learning process and accumulated experiences. Learning. Emotions. Emotions are often formed through personal experiences and interactions with the environment. Children learn to recognize and respond to emotions through observation and experience. Interaction with the environment. Emotions are also influenced by social, cultural, and environmental factors. LeDoux emphasizes that the way we experience and understand emotions can vary depending on the social context. Neurobiology of emotion. This section delves into the structure and function of the brain related to emotions. LeDoux analyzes the critical brain regions involved in processing emotions, including the amygdala, cortex, and hippocampus. Amygdala. This region is primarily responsible for processing fear and other strong emotions. The amygdala helps us recognize threats and respond quickly. Cortex. The cortex aids us in analyzing and understanding emotional situations, allowing us to make more rational decisions rather than merely reacting emotionally. Hippocampus. This area is related to memory storage and helps us understand the context of emotions. The hippocampus allows us to learn from past experiences and adjust our emotional responses accordingly. Emotion in social context. LeDoux emphasizes that emotions do not exist in isolation, but are profoundly influenced by social relationships. The role of society. Emotions are shaped by how we interact with those around us. Social relationships can reinforce or diminish our emotions. Emotion and empathy. LeDoux discusses the importance of empathy in understanding and managing emotions. Empathy allows us to perceive the emotions of others and respond appropriately. Overcoming fear. The final part of the chapter discusses how understanding the biology of emotion can help us overcome fear. Therapies and techniques. LeDoux suggests that understanding how emotions are formed and processed in the brain can lead to the application of more effective treatment methods for coping with fear and anxiety. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can help individuals learn to change how they think and feel about their emotions. Creating connections. Building strong social relationships and receiving support from others can aid us in overcoming fear. Positive emotions from social connections can help reinforce mental resilience. Thank you for watching the summary video of the book The Emotional Brain by Joseph LeDoux. Throughout each section, we have explored profound aspects of how emotions form, their influence on our behavior, and the crucial role of biology in understanding fear and anxiety. I hope this knowledge gives you a clearer perspective on your own emotions and how to manage them more effectively in your daily life. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on other interesting content. Share your thoughts about this book in the comments below. See you in the next videos.